All right, let's get right into it. We're going to look at one single crucial night in a leader's career. One of those moments that really balances on a razor's edge between total conviction and, well, total collapse. This is the story of Emmanuel Macron and the decision that would define his presidency and maybe even his country.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Our story isn't set in some grand public square with roaring crowds. Nope, it's in the quiet, almost lonely halls of a palace, late at night. It's a perfect reminder that so often, the big moments in history aren't loud. They're just a signature on a piece of paper.
So that begs the question, right? To really get the weight of that signature, you have to understand the guy holding the pen. Who is Emmanuel Macron? And the answer, as you're about to see, is anything but simple.
He is a man of contradictions. Seriously, to understand why he'd make such a massive gamble, you have to look at these deep, competing forces that have shaped him since he was a kid.
He wasn't your typical future president. He grew up in Amiens, and while other kids were out playing, a young Macron was devouring philosophy books, memorizing scripts for plays. He was always a bit of an outsider. He even scandalized his hometown by falling in love with his drama teacher, Brigitte, who was 24 years older than him.
And this is where you really see the two sides of him. It's like there are two Macrons in one body. On one hand, you've got the philosopher, the guy who thinks about big ideas, about meaning, about ethics. But on the other hand, you have the stone-cold banker from Rothschild, a ruthless dealmaker who understands power and money with ice in his veins. These two sides are always at war. And look at this path to power. It's anything but normal. He jumps from the world of ideas to the cutthroat world of high finance, and then just blows up the entire French political system with a brand new movement to win the presidency. It was a brilliant, but you have to admit, kind of reckless climb to the top.
So all of this complicated man, this unconventional rise, it all leads to one massive flashpoint in his presidency, the pension reform. And this wasn't just another policy debate. Oh no. This was him going up against what you could call a sacred cow of French society.
And this is so important to get. In France, pensions are not just about money. Retirement is this deeply cherished part of the national identity. So when you come along and suggest changing it, even if you have spreadsheets and charts to back you up, a lot of people hear it as an attack on their culture. It's heresy.
So here's the impossible spot he was in. On one side, you've got the cold, hard logic. The numbers said the system was going broke, he'd promised to fix it, and backing down would be a political humiliation. But on the other side, pure, raw human emotion. The risk of cities burning, of people feeling like he was stealing their future.
At the end of the day, it really just boiled down to this. Was he going to be the president of spreadsheets or the president who listens to the shouts from the streets? There was no easy answer. Either way, he was going to pay a massive political price.
Which brings us back to that one night. The night where he had to make the choice all alone with the entire future of his presidency hanging in the balance. So what did he do? He reached for this, let's call it a constitutional nuclear option. It's called Article 49.3, and it basically lets a French government force a law through without a final vote in Parliament. It's legal, technically, but a lot of people see it as deeply undemocratic.
And you can just imagine the scene inside the Élysée Palace that night. The hallways are dead quiet, but his phone is just vibrating off the hook with warnings of chaos. His own advisors are split, arguing in these tense, hushed voices. The pressure must have been immense.
And this next detail, wow, it just tells you everything you need to know. It's reported that he kept rereading his briefing notes he already knew by heart. He wasn't looking for new information, he was looking for reassurance, for one last bit of proof that he was doing the right thing before he took a step he could never take back.
Because this was the real fear at the heart of it all. It wasn't just about polls or protests. It was this deep, terrifying doubt. What if I've gotten my country completely wrong? What if real leadership, in this specific moment, wasn't about pushing forward, but about stopping and just listening?
And then it was done. No big speech, no cameras flashing, just the stroke of a pen, sometime around midnight. A single signature, followed by silence. A quiet act that was about to unleash a massive storm.
And that storm hit fast. The decision came with a price tag, and it was immediate. It was steep, and it was deeply personal. And this is the crazy paradox of the whole thing. Internationally, his credibility was fine. The markets were calm, other leaders respected the move. But back home, in France, trust in his leadership just fell off a cliff. He basically won the argument on paper, but completely lost the people.
The fallout was just huge. Protests turned violent. Any trust that was left seemed to evaporate. He became the poster boy for elite arrogance, the president who just didn't listen. That feeling of hope that swept him into office in 2017, it started to feel like a very distant memory.
And if there's one lesson he learned from all this, it has to be this one. He believed that having the right answer, the most logical solution, would be enough. But he found out the hard way that clarity without empathy doesn't get you support, it just gets you resentment.
So let's zoom out. What does this whole story tell us, not just about Macron, but about leadership, about what it really means to have power?
And this is the question that's still hanging in the air, isn't it? Was his refusal to back down an incredible act of political courage, doing what he thought was right no matter the cost? Or was it just pure stubbornness, an inability to ever admit he might be wrong? The line between those two things can be razor thin.
You know, maybe leadership is an equation. Having the right answer, the smart, logical, strategic solution, that's only half of it. The other half, the one that's just as important, is the human delivery. It's empathy, it's timing, it's making people feel respected. Macron absolutely nailed the first part, but he really struggled with the second.
And maybe that's where we should leave it. We like to think of leaders as these perfect figures, but they're not. They're tired, they're under pressure, they're full of doubt, just like the rest of us. At the end of the day, history isn't written by perfect people. It's written by imperfect humans who, for better or worse, just decide to act anyway.